It has been 1 year now since the death of Mahsa Amini. The 22-year-old Iranian died while in the custody of Tehran's so-called morality police.
Yeah, you'll remember Amini was arrested for allegedly violating the country's strict dress code. Her death sparked months of protests that swept across the nation.
MSNBC anchor Yasmin Vossoughian joins us now to discuss the fight 1 year later. It's good to see you, Yasmin.
Good to see you as well. So we saw the prisoner exchange happening earlier today, and we now know $6 billion released to the Qatari government that will be used for humanitarian purposes inside Iran. One of the reasons why this is going down essentially is on the part of the Iranian government, they want to shift attention away from what is happening domestically. This is a country in turmoil economically and in turmoil over what women want in that country. And the fight for women's rights and equality, it is continuing no matter what we see outside. Let's take a look.
Zan, Zindagi, Azadi. Woman, life, freedom. 3 words that form the rallying cry for a movement led by the women of Iran to fight for equal rights under Islamic law. It began on September 16th last year, when 22-year-old Mahsa Amini died in the custody of a government patrol unit, the morality police. Witness reports say she was physically beaten before her death, which officials deny, arrested for allegedly violating the country's strict dress code. What followed were months of protests across the entire country, men and women alike condemning the regime and its series of gender discriminatory laws. They were met with a violent crackdown. Human rights groups saying that Iranian security forces killed more than 500 protesters, tens of thousands arrested, and eventually demonstrations subsiding. This summer, though, as the 1-year anniversary of Amini's death drew closer, Iranian officials began arresting anyone suspected of planning to reignite these protests.
The Islamic Republic of Iran has always been ready to listen to words of protesters and those who intend to abuse Madam Amini's name. We know what will happen to them.
But despite those threats, the movement lives on. Days before the anniversary, a group of activists and leaders gathered across from the United Nations in New York.
In front of this building, where officials of the Iranian government are going to come, and they're going to refer to all these freedom fighters as troublemakers and as rebel rousers.
And this supreme leader and his henchmen and those who came before them, they don't worship God. They worship themselves.
And on September 16th, marches happening across the globe in support of the Iranian people, lending a voice to a movement that continues to inspire innovative action around the world.
We have an app similar to Waze where people can report the location and detour the location of the morality police.
We've been focusing a lot on the people who've been arrested, so making sure they're still in the news and their cases are heard.
In response to the Women Life Freedom movement, Iran's leaders have doubled down, bringing back the morality police after temporary suspension and proposing new laws with harsher penalties for women who violate the dress code. But many Iranians say that an irreversible change has taken place.
People are way more unified. Even to this day, after all these killings, people are going out without hijab and making videos.
We have buried our dead. We have seen the people getting arrested and tortured. It is up to the international community to decide which part of history they want to be a part of.
I mean, it's hard to believe it's been a year since Mahsa Amini passed. How is the government responding now that people are marking this year?
You heard essentially the threat that was made by President Raisi in that interview that he did sitting down with Lester Holt. They're cracking down. They detained Mahsa Amini's father on Saturday, the 1-year anniversary of her death. They arrested her uncle just a couple of days before that. They wanted to make sure there was no protest happening domestically so that the world beyond Iran could feel as if things were all right. But you saw the images of the protests happening throughout the world on Saturday, from New York to London, everywhere. The diaspora, the Iranian diaspora, standing up for the Iranian people and continuing to voice their concerns for women inside Iran after the death of Mahsa Amini.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.